Did you know I'm gonna come with it? Come with the 10 minutes. I want you staring into these pretty brown eyes. Hey guys, this is Tiffany J coming to you live. 10 minutes with yours truly. I hope you like the show. Check it out. Okay, this is Tiffany J coming to you live from the car. It's a lovely rainy day, and I have been listening to the No Gossip Just Talk podcast, right? And so there's so many things that come up to mind, and this is the episode. This is Guy Talk 101 with King Shem, and they're talking about appreciation basically in relationships with so many things, right? I got my girl Abire in the car, so every now and then if she has a comment, she may tune in and say what she has to say, but for right now, these are my thoughts. And the last thing that I think we just heard about, what did they say? They said
Appreciation in relationship.
With the appreciation, because she was talking about, well, one, they were saying about if it's a thought, they were going on and on about the thought that counts, and I'm like, okay, yeah, the thought could count, but if there's no action behind it, you can think all that you want, but I need to see the fruits of those thoughts so that I can truly believe and yes, affirm that you care for me, appreciate me, right? Okay. Also, we were talking about love languages, right? So our host of the podcast of the No Gossip 101, Tenisha, right? She was saying she's not that much into love languages. And then I think Metra was also, because they were talking about being clingy and not being all up underneath someone. And then King Shem was talking about how you should get into love languages because it overall, because my mind is so scattered, there's so many thoughts. Whether you're into it or not, everybody's not the same, right? And so I find that just because you're clingy or you spend a lot of time with someone, that doesn't mean, which that would be quality time with love languages, right? That doesn't mean, okay, you love me more, you love me less. Again, remember, everybody's different. I think it's good, speaking to host Tenisha, I think it would be good to just kind of gloss over it or investigate a little bit more about what the love languages are, because basically this author, I can't remember his name, but he took the time to kind of dissect it and say, like, these are the different types. There's love languages, like how people want to be loved, and there's also languages about how you want to receive love. So those are two different ways, because you could speak it in, or you could receive it in, like, oh, quality time, but maybe you speak it differently. Like, you speak your love in words of affirmation or acts of service. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So I think Tenisha, in response to the podcast, I think it would be beneficial. It really wouldn't be bad, but I think you should take a look into it just to look at it, you know? Not that it's the end all be all, or this is the decision or the law book of how love languages or whatever are, defined, but I think it's worth looking at. You know what I'm saying? It may prick your heart or your mind and have you thinking about things a little bit differently. You know what I'm saying? Or you at least be able to describe and articulate what's going on and pinpoint a particular thing when we talk about relationships. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Marriages. You guys, I can't remember the meme that was said, but because they were talking about 4 and 5 different marriages, and if you want to be married, and a lot of people, I feel like a lot of people don't prepare themselves for marriage. They just prepare themselves for the engagement and for the wedding day, right? And so when the marriage comes, we think that it's supposed to be honeymoon phase the entire time, and it's nothing of the sort. You may have that for a good year or so, but then after that, they also say like the first year is like the hardest year, right? And so after that honeymoon phase of being newlyweds, that's when the work comes in. That's what you guys were talking about, like putting in the work, and some people don't want to put in the work. And I think Tenisha and Metra, they were saying that, oh, like, you can be married to this job, you can be married to this and that, but you can't be married to like an individual and a person. And that's where, yes, you find your serial daters. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but people who basically go from person to person to person, and they just drop people because it ain't working. Now, there are two different things. You can, yes, I would say, like I was saying in my response on my IG stories, I would say, look, if it ain't working, don't stay with them just until you find the next person, right? Because they were talking about, they was like, oh, if this person is a level 3 or whatever, I'm gonna just stick with their mess till they find somebody else. I disagree. I would say, do all that you can to make sure that it works. But if it's not working, then you need to get out of that situation as quick as possible so that you can start your healing process. Because I wouldn't go from one thing to the other immediately if I haven't had time to process and assess what was going on, so that I can be better for the next situation. And not even the next situation, mainly better for me, so that's what I would say in reference to that, going from one thing to the other. And if you're going to be married, like, I'm trying to do the work now as far as getting to know myself, making sure that I'm not putting too much pressure on the other individual, because it's not necessarily their responsibility to keep me happy, to make me happy. Like, that's all me. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot to think about. I feel like society as a whole, we have been programmed to think certain things, and we need to try to deprogram ourselves to be more healthy. We've been socialized to think negative things about each other, about males, about females, opposite sex, whatever the case is, whatever you want to do, however you want to rock with, however you rocking. Right? So very, very, very interesting topic, very interesting discussion. I enjoyed it a lot. You guys keep it up. And then the other thing I wanted to comment on was Ayana, her College Prep 101 podcast episode. It was so sweet, and it was so good to hear from someone who was fresh out the game, from her high school years, getting ready to go to college, and her thoughts and opinions on, does she feel like she understands everything that her mother has expressed to her about being safe and being protected. Some of the things, yes, she says she has, and some of the things, she says she still doesn't understand. And so when they went through that and they talked about it, I'm sitting here like, well, what else does she understand? And then when Metra and Tenisha actually broke it down about being safe, about being at people's houses, and how it's not only that you can't trust the adults, it's even now, because she was saying she went over to a friend's house and they were doing like crack or something like that. Like Tenisha was saying that, and I was like, well, dang, it's like, yeah, you can't even trust some of the adults that you hang out with, let alone, letting your kid hang out with another adult. Like, because people, yes, they're crazy. So I understand the whole, they can't go over there, but you can have the sleepover over here. Now, unless you're tight like Tenisha and Metra, and I'm sure they can probably go back and forth and have their kids spend the night over each other's houses like that because they're tight like that. Other people, if you're not tight and you don't trust the individual, the adult, the guardian, or whoever, then it's a different story. So I just thought it was so sweet, and I really enjoyed that episode. And then I also want to shout out hold on, I gotta get his name because I'm not doing it justice if I don't have his name, and it's not fair. But it's the author, his name, Gamal, that's right, Gamal Williams. He was talking about how he put chapter 1 underneath his son's, if it's not your son, then I know it's your kid's door, right? Yeah, I think it was your son you were saying. And I thought it was so sweet how your kid woke up and they were like, oh my gosh, what happens next? What happens next? And isn't that such an amazing, great inspiration to have your very own child like looking up to you to see what happens next. So that I am inspired by that. I was inspired just to hear you and listen to what you had to say, and the fact that you're thinking about doing a series. And so yeah, like this particular episode, you guys, is just me showing my appreciation for Tenisha Metra, and all the other guys, the fellas that are out there that support No Gossip Just Talk. You guys are doing an amazing job, and just keep it up. It's all about support. It's all about love. Like, we got to keep lifting each other up and build a community and build value within ourselves so that we can continue to help and inspire others to do the same thing. Okay? Abure, do you have anything else to say?
No. God bless.
Awesome. Yes. God bless you all and have an amazing day. This has been another edition of Tiffany J. 10 Minutes. That was another edition of 10 Minutes with Tiffany J. I hope you all enjoyed yourselves, because I know I did. You can find more episodes on my website, www.tjayetaylor.com, and go to podcasts. But don't stop there. Hop on over to the music tab and rock out to your favorite Tiffany J records, starting with my latest single, Work For It. Available for streaming and downloads on all major platforms, with a bomb video showcase on YouTube featuring the Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina.